Everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoteric and our long-running series, the Kinda Sorta Ported playlist, where I take a look at some of my favorite Kinda Sorta Ported arcade games of all time. And outside of that tongue twister, the joke is I know that Trio of the Punch has been ported, but it's a really weird game. I love weird stuff, and I wanted to talk about it. Before I get too far involved, though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe. That notification bell definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But Trio of the Punch is just absolutely hilarious. It makes zero sense whatsoever, and I am 100% there for all of the weirdness, because if you've been watching the channel whatsoever, you know I love janky arcade games, especially if they are weird, and nothing is weirder than Trio of the Punch. This is getting to some Cho and Nikki vibes, not so much in the genre material, but more in just the abject weirdness of it all. It is basically a side-scrolling hack-and-slash beat-em-up. Each level has a different theme and vibe to it, and each character has their own thing going on. Like in the second level, you get handed this giant metal cylinder, and you just need to destroy a hand. That is all that is happening, while these pipes kind of scroll up and down looking like a Windows 95 screensaver. But this was released in 1989, so maybe they got there first, and maybe Microsoft was inspired by Trio of the Punch. And just so you guys know, the full title is Trio of the Punch, Never Forget Me, and that's the last time you're going to hear it in this video because it's too long to say. But this game is just absolutely incredible, and it reminds me a lot of Roston from Taito, because if this character is not Conan the Barbarian / Roston, I don't know what is. And you have these volcanoes in the background shooting off some meatballs that are going to hit you if you're not in the right spot. Sometimes this game just feels normal, like right here, fighting skeletons in the desert as Conan the Barbarian isn't the weirdest thing in the world. But it pinballs between kind of making sense and making absolutely no sense whatsoever, because as we move on to the next level, we're in a jungle, we're fighting fat guys, they poison you, no big deal. And this is kind of like a pseudo-sequel to Karnow as well, so if some things look familiar, you're going to understand where they come from, and even a little bit of a pseudo-sequel to Chelnov as well. But now we're just fighting a pink ram. That's not the weirdest thing in the world, but I love that it shoots out smaller pink rams, and the fact that you can jump on everything in this game. If it's a projectile, if it's an enemy, you can jump on it and you're invulnerable. But what happens if you die to the ram? You get cursed, and after this amazing face on this continue screen right here, you come back into the level, and you're not going to be Conan anymore. Oh no, you're now the pink sheep. It's just weird. It's a curse, but honestly the pink sheep is maybe the most powerful character in the game because his attack is basically unblockable and it hits absolutely everything. Before we were having trouble hitting the sheep with a normal character, now everything is incredibly easy. I just wish you could play as the sheep the whole time. But again, where did this come from? Where did the idea to just make you a pink ram actually appear from? And the nice thing is you get to carry him into one extra level as well, and you'll just see here, he is an absolute machine. Forget Conan. Forget the martial artist, forget the Jackie Chan looking character. The sheep is what you need, and I want a ROM hack where you can just play as the sheep. It's basically like invincibility mode, it is that good. You will see that I just picked up a yellow heart, and certain enemies in every stage drop hearts. You need to collect X amount of hearts until you can see the boss, and in this instance a giant tower of random things that looks like it almost has a chess piece on top of it. Not sure what it's supposed to be, doesn't really matter, it's just incredible and I love looking at it. This game makes me laugh, it makes me smile. And that's all that matters in a weird arcade game. But honestly, the combat is competent, and that is good as well. It's not like it's a bad game that's weird and it's just good because it's weird. It's also a decent hack and slash beat 'em up. It's definitely in the lower B tier category, but that doesn't really matter because not everything can be an A+. Nothing needs to be Roston or Golden Axe to be great. It can 100% be Trio of the Punch and still be as much fun. And you'll see here as we move on, these fat Karnow looking characters are just going to start floating up from the surface of the water wearing divers helmets, and you just have to kill enough of them to get to the final boss. And you even have some special moves which honestly don't really clear much whatsoever, so I've never been one to use them a ton. But I will say this game also has a spectacular soundtrack. Everything in this game just makes me happy. So go ahead and listen for like 45 seconds, I'll come back and show you some more weirdness. It's a great, weird, jazzy soundtrack for a great, weird game, and you'll see we're fighting another disembodied piece of a body, kind of looks like a bronze statue, and that's kind of going to be a theme throughout the game. Some of the bosses are going to be totally normal looking, other ones are going to be a giant hand that's just trying to slam you into the ground. But directly after this level, a giant foot's going to come in, smush you down to a very small ninja, and now you are just fighting a foot in the game. That's just one of the levels, and it doesn't really even basically mention why you're doing it. The story in this game is just kind of non-existent for the most part. You get little interstitial titles before each level, but otherwise, that's about all that happens. But you think Ohlew is weird, you get to fight Colonel Sanders, and this isn't the first time that Colonel Sanders has even been in a game where you get to fight him. Definitely didn't have permission, but it seems like the Colonel was a thing, and once you do enough damage, he shrinks down and is actually just a bird inside of Colonel Sanders throwing fried drumsticks at you. That is what's happening in Trio the Punch. It is weird, but it makes perfect sense, and we just shrunk down because we got hit by the chicken. How does that logic work? I don't know. Does it matter? Absolutely not. Do I care? No, I actually love it. And then you move on to another level, and then it just becomes a graveyard horror theme. This game is constantly changing what it shows you, and every single time you see something new, you're just 100% enamored with it. Because Data East made weird games. They made great games, but all of their games have a sensibility and a sense of humor that no other arcade developer was involved in. And that's why I really wanted to talk about Trio the Punch, and honestly, 99.9% of all unported playlist episodes are unported, and every once in a while I do throw one in, but don't leave me the comment down below and say that this was actually ported. I know I mentioned it in like minute 1. But honestly, it's just a weird game, and if you know the channel and you know me, I love weird games. This is the type of thing that I absolutely appreciate, because you can't always be playing stuff like Final Fighter Streets of Rage. Sometimes you want to play a side-scrolling beat-em-up that just isn't the best thing in the world, but makes you happy when you're playing it, and Trio the Punch delivers all of that and more. And that's all I want out of an arcade game on this channel, is I just want it to be something that's fun, something that maybe you guys have never heard of before, but do leave me a comment down below and tell me, did you know Trio the Punch existed? Or you were learning about it from this video? Because I really would be curious who's played this before, because it's definitely a deeper cut, but it's relatively well known for being weird. Sometimes games are more known for their absurdity than they are for their actual gameplay, and I mentioned the Puelinckx series earlier. Those are fun games, but it's known for being weird. Trio the Punch, Never Forget Me, is known as being a weird game, but it is still a ton of fun, and now that we're in the sewers here with those gators, I love that they're just basically acting as springboards. But one last taste of the soundtrack because I love it, and I'll be right back, but enjoy. It really is just a catchy soundtrack. In a lot of ways it does remind me of Roston, but in this level here you're going to just see Weebles fall down scrolling across the screen over and over again. When it completes, the game pauses for like half a second. I have absolutely no idea what Weebles fall downs means, but it is fun to see it on the screen, and it is just so strange. And that's the thing about Trio the Punch. It's just a weird game. There's no getting around it. It is absurd, but obviously that was fully intentional, and that is a genre in gaming, just being weird for weird's sake. But the good thing is, a lot of the gameplay and a lot of the action in Trio the Punch is just satisfying and good as well, so it's not like you're not enjoying this game when you're playing it. You're not just here for the weirdness, you just happen to get a lot of weirdness in turn. And you'll see there it says the moon is your friend, and that in fact is the case, because you'll see the moon at the top right hand corner of the screen, and it really is going to be your friend after these zombies right at you in these little clown cars, or maybe they're bumper cars. But that's the thing, you're never sure what you're going to see next, but the game is fun enough and weird enough that you're always compelled to see what's going to be around the corner. And as we use a special attack here, the moon is going to fall out of the sky and start bouncing around the screen. What does it do? Not much, doesn't damage the enemy, so maybe the moon is more ambivalent to us and it's not our friend. But yeah, that is Trio the Punch. Definitely been ported. Kind of felt like zagging on this episode. But leave me a comment down below and tell me, have you played Trio the Punch? Are you going to play it after this video? Or is it just too weird for you? See you guys next time. Bye bye.